Right, you're good to go.
Brilliant. Good evening, councillors and residents. Before I formally go through the agenda, I would like to introduce Tracy Pedder to the meeting, who is our local clerk. And so we wish Tracy all the very best this evening. And if there's any questions or anything that needs to be asked, I'm sure that Tracy will give us guidance as to how we can progress. Also, just whilst we talk about the, if I could have people's mobile phones to switch to off, and that would be much appreciated, as there's nothing worse when somebody's speaking and the phone is ringing in the background. Equally, I'm going to do my flight officers view that the emergency exits are down that way or out that way. So, and if you can congregate out in the compound, that would be much appreciated. So, the first point is about the fire safety regulations, which we've just done, which is 033/2025. And now we move on to 034/2025, and that's recording, filming of the meeting. And this council permits the filming and recording and photography of its public meetings in response to Standing Order 3K of the Local Government Act 1972. By attending the meeting, you are consenting to being filmed and recorded, and you notify the clerk in advance that you do not wish to be. So, from the resident point of view, you are satisfied with the information I've presented. Thank you. So moving on to 035/2025, apologies for absence, to receive and approve any apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Yes, we have Councillor Cross and Councillor Glover, both for personal reason.
Okay, thank you very much.
Chairman, what about Margaret Coots?
We received
I spoke to her this morning. She's very clear on the phone, so. Thank you.
Item number 036/2025 is declarations of interest and any dispensations are required. All members are to be reminded that they must disclose any disclosed pecuniary interest or registrable interest that you've already declared. So, do we have any disclosures of interest in any of the items we are about to discuss? No, thank you. And so we move on to item 037/2025, and that's the minutes from the previous meeting, and that was held on Monday, the 11th of June. Just go through that for a moment. Okay, so, but take you through page by page if anyone wishes to raise any points, please indicate. We've got minutes of the meeting held, the last minutes of the 11th of June, and page 1. And page 2. Do I take it that they are a true accurate record of what took place this evening? Okay, and I'll duly sign them. Thank you very much. We go on to item 0382025. This is the public forum session, where I allow a certain number of minutes, 3 minutes per speaker for the public to address the council. Does anyone of the public wish to address the council? If so, can present yourselves for 3 minutes each. Okay, at the moment. Okay, thank you. After the finish. I do not wish to. And you will notice on the agenda we have an item 039225, and that is the co-option of Mrs. Anna Bogart. And just to say that, in light of the fact that we've got quite a number of these candidates that would like to be co-opted onto Bray Parish Council, in fact we have 4 in total for 2 seats. I felt it was more appropriate to bring this back to the next meeting, and so it will be discussed at our next meeting of the council, and we will take all 4 candidates at the same time, and those 4 candidates can make comments or whatever they wish to make in consideration of their application.
So, question on that.
Of course,
I saw the spec for the and lady. Have we supposedly seen the specs for the other people? Not yet. Yes, I didn't see anything on the.
Well, obviously, our deputy clerk would like to move the point. So I can ask my deputy clerk.
Yeah, the practical reality is because Anne was coming forward, her information was shared with councillors. Councillor Wilson is aware of the others, but they only have to be shared before the meeting with the agenda minutes. Yeah, so that's when they're confirmed, technically. I suppose my only follow-up question to that is, the 5 minutes Dedworth Ward area has been short of the council for a really long time. That one of these candidates can be allocated to us, as opposed to necessarily all going to Bray or Onward.
Well, let's say that all 4 candidates will present themselves, and obviously then it will be decided who is the appropriate candidate to go forward.
But we've got about 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Just to say, if you've read the process, how it will work is that the candidates speak and then we vote, they get nominated and we vote each one until the one with the lowest votes is the last person, and obviously then we vote again until we get down to 2. And there's 2, so there's 1 for Hollywood, 1 for Pinefield that is vacancy. So yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Waters.
How many people keep trying?
Well, we only have 2 positions available.
The deputy clerk said that there is no requirement to let us have information of the other candidates earlier than when the agenda comes out. But I think it would be useful if we were allowed to, if we did see them before.
Nice. Yeah, the practical reality is that because we've now changed, we had uncodified rules about attending meetings and speaking to people. That has been taken out because the policy doesn't actually dictate that at this time. So that means that as it stands, we currently have 4 coaches. We could have more for the day. The door is open, so it's only fair that all those papers come at the same time.
But they're going to come out 7 days. They're going to come out 7 days before the meeting. So
Yes.
we'll have at least 7 days.
Good evening, councillor Pearce.
Sorry,
No, it's
Sorry,
it's all right. No, it's okay. But just to say, we've just been explaining about the co-option, which is on the agenda. I've actually moved that back to for one night, so it will come up in this.
it's good that I can talk to John on the phone.
Yes.
Thank you.
I said, and
Apologies. I just would really, really appreciate, councillor Ken brought it up, 7 days. Now, is that 7 days including the weekend, or is it 7 days working days? I think it would be nice, especially when we have a lot of papers, to make sure we have everything. I think it's a standard, supposed to be 5 days, isn't it? 5 working days before the meeting, prior to the meeting?
3 days.
It's 3.
It's 3 days.
3 working days.
Yes.
Okay, well, I would like to then make a request then going forward, we have them, especially when there's a lot.
Yes.
We've had in the past 23 papers to read. There's no possibility anyone can read that properly. So this is just a request going forward. Perhaps we can look at that in the policies. Going forward.
It's actually laid down in the statute, and if I can bring it up,
Oh, yeah,
because it's quite clearly laid out.
Yeah, under the local government act, it's 3 days to issue an agenda. And that doesn't include a Sunday and bank holidays, they're excluded. But obviously, if we do get information, we know there's going to be lots, there's nothing stopping us giving out some supporting documents and that before we can.
that'd be really helpful, because I'm sure, I mean, there's quite a few of us that do work, trying to do that and read through documents and be able to comment on them properly. It does make it a bit challenging. So yeah, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you.
To put it another way,
Because,
because there is a minimum, doesn't mean that it has to be.
well, unfortunately, the local government act is very clear.
Well, I thought you said by that date. I mean, certainly our planning orders, if someone wants to propose a motion, it must be a minimum. That motion must be distributed a minimum of 7 days, but it doesn't have to be 7 days. It can be 20 days. That's what our standing orders.
Yes, sure.
The reason it's set as a minimum is so that things can be put on the agenda at last minute, so that councils are most up to date. Once you've issued that agenda, you don't want to then be resubmitting an agenda out. But I believe we sent it out a week in advance anyway. You can send it out a little bit. That's part of the meeting the following morning.
Councillor Walters.
Yeah, are we really having another playing council meeting? So,
No, well spotted there.
Councillor Blue.
Yeah, I was just going to make a point about this time limit, 3 days. Surely, that's the minimum that you do, and clearly an agenda is something which is done up until the last possible moment. But the documents that you're referring to, some of those documents would have been around for quite some time, and those could be sent out, a week before or even earlier than that. And that would then cut down 23 documents, all arriving with only 3 days to go. My thought is that with bigger papers, single papers to do with one topic, understood. Well, if it's to do with co-option, I think then fair that they all go out.
Well, I was going co-option, yeah, but just sort of taking the point that the van was making about a situation in the past where we've had lots of documents. Spreading the load out, getting some in advance when they're in, you've got them. Would seem to make a lot of sense.
Yes,
I believe that, there is a members area that you will use SharePoint and you have a members area for
Yeah.
documents.
Yeah.
So then there's no reason why documents can't start to be uploaded on there in certain areas for certain topics. And then in the background, then you can start referring back to them.
Absolutely, yeah.
right, the next item on the agenda was 040225 to approve dates, times of council and committee meetings for the forthcoming year of 25-26. There has been a schedule submitted, and as Councillor Walters has already pointed out, because the main council meeting that would have been the 30th has been is tonight, so that's why we've got that meeting tonight. There was a meeting scheduled for the 25th of the 6th of the HR committee, and that's been cancelled. But otherwise, the dates are listed in front of you.
Was this still drawing?
Okay,
I think I've two.
Councillor Parker has been first, and then Councillor Owen.
Can I just ask a question now of ignorance? If let us say we conduct a meeting which doesn't necessarily achieve its aim, so we want to get there's a couple of items we're very concerned about getting actions on, and we have an extraordinary meeting of that committee. Is that able to be held remotely, or do you have to be in person?
At the moment, you have to meet in person.
You have to be in person.
There is legislation coming out that like COVID, hands with me face to face. And some people do delegate the decision making the planning to a clerk. So you could have a working party, because I know planning takes up a lot of council time. If the decision to send back a decision was delegated to a clerk, we could meet remote, still have your planning meeting, but it just means that the clerk can send off your decisions. But
So if we met, let's say, remotely as another committee and made a decision about a particular item remotely, and then we pass that decision on to the clerk, would that decision be able to be no?
no,
Right, okay, so we have to meet first.
it's
Okay, thank you.
at present,
Yeah,
it's changing.
thank you.
Councillor Elvin,
Just double checking, Derek, you say the HR meeting of next Wednesday or of Wednesday is cancelled?
yes, it is.
Yeah. 26th, 25th of 6th,
25th of the 6th,
that's cancelled.
cancelled.
So which? Yeah.
Chairman
Yes.
said cancelled. Did you?
Yes.
That's cancelled.
Before we,
Yeah, it's me.
yes, it is Councillor Walters next.
Chairman, by way of explanation, difference between a remote meeting and a meeting in person, as far as the Royal Bar is concerned, that if it's remote, you can't vote. Is that the same for councillors? You can't vote remote, you have to be there.
Okay, if I can bring in a clerk, please, into the
Yes.
It's saying that is the borough, and you cannot vote if the meeting is remote. So therefore, if there is a vote, it cannot be a vote. It has to be, well, just explain, it's got to be a person. So, yes, I know that the National Association of Councils is actually reviewing.
Yeah.
That.
So it's not the same for parents.
No, we have to be in person at the moment.
Yes,
Is that right? You have to be there.
You have to be there.
Thank you, that's all I want.
Yeah, now there's a whole thing
Yeah.
going out, isn't there?
Yeah.
about it, and pushing for it. There's a lot of people, if you want to get other people that, you know, involved to be a parish council, you should be a little bit more flexible these days.
Yes. So they are looking at that stuff.
Okay.
So I was just going to ask a question, apologies, I'll
Okay.
keep it very, very quick. So I understood as vice chair, I would automatically be included onto the HR committee. So I understood it would be automatically, as I'm deputy, obviously,
Sure.
the chair, when the chair's not there, that I would be included. So that I've checked the terms of reference for HR and that's not the case. So I'm formally asking that I be included to the HR committee going forward.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You can't do that, I think it's all Can I come back to you on that?
What's the query?
If it's not the terms of reference for you to be on the HR committee, is that what it's saying?
No, it's saying, it's not, doesn't say, I've always thought that because the previous chair and vice chair were on the HR committee. I, for some reason, thought that I would be, as vice chair, just be automatically included in the HR committee. So this is just a request that I'm still in the HR committee. It's not. It's for that.
But I mean, if it's okay with you, I haven't got terms of reference in front of me or what it could agree, when you agree to committees, or annual meeting,
Yeah.
you're not on that list as agreed.
No, it wasn't. But I thought at that point, like I said, I thought I automatically got included. But it's obviously I haven't been because I haven't been included in any of the correspondence or any of the meetings. So this was a request, a formal request to be included, because if obviously I stand in the derrick as chair, I need to be understanding obviously what's going on as well.
But what I'm saying is I need to just go away and check the terms of reference and check why you're not on it, probably in there or something.
I think that's a policy change that yes, actually going forward.
If I recollect clearly, and if I remember right, we had a situation last year where our vice chair had stood down as a councillor, and Councillor Wilson was elected vice chair, and he was automatically, even though it might not be on terms of reference, he was by shared understanding that it's necessary. He joined the HR committee then, so this is not that this happened before in the council, so. Just for information.
Is everyone happy with the dates? It's for these two.
Wednesday's not good for me, Darren, closer to the council one, that's all right.
If she calls out, sorry,
I really appreciate that someone tries to say it. I know it's really difficult. I was just going to compliment on how interesting and how, we have both ways of presenting dates by committee and by date and different colours. And that must have taken a long time to prepare. So I was going to just compliment on the quality of these two papers, and that's
Not on the quality of your printer, obviously.
my. Sorry, my compliment. But I was just going to compliment that document. Thank you for that.
No problem.
Someone now stream second jobs for the
okay, any other comments?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, thank you. And
I just suggest that
yes,
the strategy meeting is also cancelled because it's very tight. So in terms of having a Sunday at a time on, et cetera, et cetera. The Bray meeting is the 3rd of July.
right.
Silence and comment. I'm so sorry.
Let's say it again, if I may.
Which ones are?
No.
Let's
It's I use contract a lot. Podger.
Roger,
Yes. and
okay, as long as you're happy with that.
Yeah, double barreled surnames.
Oh, okay, councillor Roger.
So, because I was elected the chairman of land management, I should now be able to join the strategy committee because that was always the chairman of all the committees meeting. So, and at the point of our annual council meeting, I wasn't yet a chairman of that, so I just wanted to make it clear. I'm happy to join now.
Okay, well, it's been noted, I think if we look at the
That is in terms of preference, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
let's deal with that. Okay, let's move on to 042025. This is a motion that I've put forward that I'm hoping that this council will agree. And it's actually the creation of a policy and procedures committee, which will handle all the policies that we have of the council, review past policies, update and amend new policies. It is quite a useful committee that will actually enhance what we do as a council. And then there's some those that committee can then feed into the full council, and therefore it will minimise the amount of time it takes to debate, in my opinion. So that's the motion in front of you. Councillor Mead.
I'd just like to say, I'd very much like to support this because sometimes we've had in the 23 documents, 7 or 8 policies to review, and it's just impossible. And most of the time, most councils have never seen them until it's dropped in the SharePoint box. So yeah, I totally agree with it, and I'm totally encouraging most councillors to join it, to be honest, because I think we do really need to review our policies and make sure that everyone has read them all as well and understands them. So I totally support that.
So therefore, when there's a proposal and a seconder,
I think Steve wants to say something. Do you want to?
I just wanted to say that, yeah, I think it's
councillor
Quite
Newton.
so I think it's quite important that all the understandings are in one place and not sort of spread over different areas and having this. It's a good idea. So I was quite happy to set down the proposal that I made.
I mean, on that paper that has been circulated from yourself about the revision of the standing orders, I did send out just a slight update because there have been sort of changes made to the standing orders, and so it was just to point that out. But I would say that the policy procedures committee will actually handle that side of work. Councillor Neal.
Sorry, I was going to say actually, Steve, do you know how to get access to the NARC website? And so you'll be able to see all the procedures. I'll send you how to do it because that actually really helps because you can actually go in there and view everything yourself. It gives you, like, I knew obviously about that the NARC are trying to do it, be able to do remotely. So it's actually really good. It's a really good thing to be able to do. And then anyone else, if they're interested, I'm happy to send it to them too.
Thank you. And you can actually create your own password and everything else. Sorry, I've been amiss. I should have actually said on the diary meeting schedule, we should have voted on that. So.
Too late now.
But I mean, we should have voted. That I didn't realise that we had to, but anyway. So can I quickly just,
Second.
okay, Rose, seconded, we wanted agreement, thank you.
Who's proposed it? Was it you?
Yeah.
And seconded by councillor Taylor. Okay, thank you very much for that. So that's the motion in front of you. Does anyone wish to debate it at all? Or are we quite happy to go to a vote? Councillor Corjo.
I am not debating it. I'm welcoming it. It was, I think, long overdue. Have to look at those policies carefully and compare them and work on them. So I would be very happy to join that committee as soon as it's formed.
Thank you. Councillor Parker.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I just, so how will the council be formulated once we vote it in, it's voted in through, it would just be people invited to become members of the committee?
Well, there will have to be a date set.
Yes.
And then as a result of that, when we do have the first meeting, we will have to look at aims and objectives of the committee so that we know exactly what we're all doing and we'd have to agree on those aims and objectives. And then we can maybe look at the paper that Councillor Egerton has already circulated. But obviously we will have to take a view based on the changes that have been made. Is that agreed?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. On to item number 04322025, Chairman's report. Well, I don't have really much to say at this moment.
Do we have to vote on the previous item?
Well, we did have I thought we had to propose a seconder.
That was
James.
Date.
Sorry?
That's the date.
last five
No, I
minutes.
don't- Second.
You seconded it.
Yes.
Propose it, I'd second having the.
Okay.
So now if we can go through a vote on it, just for clarity.
What's this?
This is the proposal for the motion to set up a set of policy and procedures committee.
Yes, definitely.
That's agreed. Thank you. Then we will arrange it. Councillor Egerton.
At what point are the members of the committee?
Right. Who wishes to be on the committee, I propose? Let's indicate first.
Yeah.
I think I ought to be on there. Just a bit. So our deputy clerk would like to.
I would like to just suggest we keep that simple because we don't have to make that decision now. I can just send an email out, your words, send it out and offer the invitation to any councillor to join and then get a list.
Yes.
It's entirely reflected.
As I said, under my report, I don't have much to say tonight, because it's, so if I move on to item 04422025, and that's the clerk's report. Would like to welcome those to our meeting, but I don't suspect you've got anything to report.
No, sorry, I'm just familiarising myself with
Sure.
everything and I'll have a report next time for you, but I'll keep you updated anyway. But thank you for having me.
Yes.
Well, you could just give us what you've been doing, you know, the last few years that has led you to this.
What I've been in the last few years.
Well, just it's a very sort of quick,
Very small, I decided to join another council there. And they actually I've had 16 years actually, and they paid for me to do my silver wasn't a qualification then, so I embarked on my local policy degree. And then I got headhunted to a large council up at Stratton St Margaret near Cirencester. And my two children were going to university or coming out of university, moved up there. They employed 80 staff and they ran a leisure centre, so it's a very large council. But then when COVID hit, I decided that I didn't want to travel all the way up there. I wanted to move back home to Hampshire, East Hampshire, and I became a locum there full time. Started off my own business, and I also worked for other agencies who come to me. And all councils are different and all councils are different and all staffs are different. So that I found that I could help councillors, I then decided to do a master's degree in public administration, which is really looking at politics and viewing being a councillor, and I can understand some of the challenges that has as well. And then, so for the last 3 years, I've been doing a locum, and I've been fully employed in that, and I've done various councils, not having, through COVID, not having to have face-to-face meetings was easier because then I could have councils as far as considering Birmingham. I did go there a few times actually. I've been able to have Welsh councils out because they don't have to have face-to-face meetings. And I've been at various councils all around. So, you know, you're not unique. That there are boundaries between staff roles and between.
Who thought we were with it?
I suppose the same question is, have you had any experience with RBWM?
No.
Well, we have, don't worry.
But I have been across many counties, and sort of working with them. So yeah, this is my first experience with the function.
Councils of public sector in this, that they have the same reason, they have the same workings.
So thank you very much. And thank you, Tracy. Do you have anything that you wish to add as a
Don't want my property.
No, but as a deputy clerk of make any comment?
No, I don't think so at this time. I think the clerk is finding her feet. We've had some conversations. There are things that need to be addressed and she will address them in the fullness of time and we'll work together to make the world a better place.
That's fine. Thank you very much. So now on to 045225, which is the RBWM update and to receive a report from the Lord Borough of Windsor Mayfair Ward councillors. Unfortunately, we don't have Councillor Cross here with us this evening, but we do have Councillor Walters. Yes. So Councillor Walters, would you like to address the meeting?
This morning, Councillor Cross ended the armed services. Can you hear me?
Yes.
This morning, Councillor Cross present, the armed services flag waving, doing everything this morning, which was a rather nice event. We had a representative of Coldstream Guards in, he was about 6'6". And I told him, I said, right 2 years ago, that I nearly went into a water outside your bank, so it was falling back. Managed to avoid it, and then slowed the car around, avoiding this 40-foot wall, and smashed into 3 other cars, just walked safely. And so I followed that. And this chap was a member of the Sea Scouts from there and so on. It's a good thing to go to. But disappointing thing, and you got how many councillors? 41 councillors, and I think there was just me representing the service, and I think there were 3 social democrats from Wellington. So you know, it was a very poor turnout. On the Royal Bar, we're still trying to find that 30 million quid we lost, somebody lost. Great inquiry going on to that. It's the Conservatives are leading. To see whether 30 million went, was it after 23 or was it before, and all that. And it's all about accountants. Douglas Hill saying, I don't know anything about physics, I just do it with matchsticks. That's how I feel from it. What else? It has some quite large planning applications. And the terrible thing about the Labour government, though we're non-political, but I have to mention the government got in place, they're actually, the words were, we're setting our sights on planning. Literally doing that. And what they're doing is that if you don't approve what they think the NPPF should approve, then they're running a real risk. Just to emphasise They're paying their costs. We all know how much money the local authorities have got, just much. It's been terrible something there. That's one of the main things actually in life. What else? The other thing, or locally, is that, this is a pleasant thing, that's what not pleasant, but, Nick and Lizzie, who used to live there. Nick Galizzi, he lived here years ago. I knew him not all that well, but I knew him reasonably well. And he was here years ago. He died in the Channel. And his son phoned me up and said, come to the field. And I thought it was rather nice. After all those years, 80 years of age, he died. And he had a great feeling for the village and so on. He lived up at, there was a rose cottage, Holy Street. And we had a memorial in Bray Parish, which was well attended. And I think I was it.
Okay.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Mr. Waters. We've got to try and keep these sort of quite independent because of it being a parish council. And Councillor Corsack.
I'll try to keep it independent, although I'm dressed in yellow, and we are called Liberal Democrats, not Social Democrats. Thank you.
Anyway, let's move on. Thank you very much for your report, Councillor Waters. So 046225 Bray and Fisheries to receive a report from the ward councillors in that award. So who would like to give the report? Oh, got the fans already.
It's great.
Councillor Corsack.
Thank you. I was told to speak slowly and be loud, so I'll do that. Please bear with me. So, I'll start with something very close to my heart. 7th of September, Bray Village Fete. I would like to invite every councillor and officer to come and join us and celebrate the community. We're working since last September to make it even better, even more inclusive, even more interesting. So this year we're starting at 11 and we're finishing at 5 when we move to the cricket club for the first time ever to have what we call after party. And the aim of that second part is to allow people to meet the volunteers and to allow us to also spend some time with each other, because from the volunteers' point of view, this is a really busy, intense day. But everyone's welcome to come. We'll have some very special guests, which I am sure I'll start announcing very soon. The second thing I'd like to say is that Bray Village is changing a bit, and we now have coffee mornings. On Friday, everyone's welcome to go to the village hall. On Saturday and Sunday, everyone's welcome to go to the cricket club. I recommend both places. I was asked to say that Bray Village Hall is running a lot of fundraising events, and those include some in aid of Thames Hospice. And also that you might have noticed, Bray Village Hall is painting the exterior of the hall, and there is some new seating area installed outside, and everyone's welcome to use those. I was going to say that church is raising some money for the lights, and I'll stop here because I think I have someone better to talk about this point. Now, on to Prior's Way. I have requested, and I will keep requesting more information. I've been in touch with residents, and this is where I have to thank people who are persistent and who shared all their experiences and points of view and their concerns with me, because this is the best way for me and other councillors to understand how to help them and what is the solution. Some people might be raising more questions. And on a very similar matter, I was contacted by someone regarding Holyport College Safe Way to School. And even though Holyport College is in Holyport, Holyport College area, the catchment area, is the whole parish council. So it's also children from Bray. So if there are any more parents from Bray who would like to talk to me, I'm always open to listen to those concerns. So please keep in touch. After last land management meeting, I was contacted by a resident regarding overflowing bins on a Jubilee Field, and I have raised it with the office, and I hope to get some clarity, and we're all trying to get some clarity of what to do now, because obviously none of us wants this to happen on a regular basis. Now to my last point. After many emails and talks with residents, it was and by popular demand, as before. Previously, I've organised 2 meetings with local PCSO in the Bray Village Hall. Now, we have decided to arrange 4 meetings, 2 in the morning, Friday coffee morning, and 2 in the afternoon, Thursday afternoons. So I will be distributing, and I will send to the office. Previously, it was advertised by the office as well. They're very flashy and trying to catch attention. Poster to say there are 4 dates now. Those meetings are mostly to meet your PCSO and bring any concern. And Matt is always very open to talk about anything. There is no question too small, too silly to ask. And we sit there for an hour and a half usually, sometimes a bit more if there is a conversation. But it was popular last time, and we both thought that's worth bringing back. So we hope, and I hope, that this will be a regular thing in the village hall. And I really want to stress, these are open to everyone. You don't have to live in a village. You don't have to live in Bray Ward. You can live anywhere in Bray Parish and visit Matt. This is his regular surgery. So we invite, actively encourage people of Holyporton, Firefield and Oakley Green, anyone living on 828, any estates, please do come. If you have any problems, it's open to everyone, and Bray Village is also open to everyone, and this is why it was established. So I will share this with the office, but I'll also put this on notice boards, and I try to put it on social media. So this, it's purely for the community to be safer and a better place. And this is my final point. I would like to again thank the residents for everything they say and do. It really helps me fulfill my role. So please be in touch. This really matters.
Okay. Does anyone else wish to add? Councillor Parkinson.
I should probably have declared an interest, but I don't have any pecuniary interest in this particular event, although I am actually hosting it. Councillor Korczak mentioned the idea that there was a fundraising happening at the Bray Church. Bray Church lighting system and wiring system is now dangerous. And although they have got a significant amount of money, they are about £30,000 to £40,000 short. So I have offered to do a fundraising show for them in the Bray Parish Church on the 12th of July. And this show will be really just it's a different iteration of a show I used to do with my father when he was alive. It really is about my father's career, his life, and it's also with live music as well. So I like to obviously encourage all councillors, if they would love to come, because they'll certainly enjoy it. We're all of the right generation. But also, I'd like to practically ask, and I don't know what the process is, but if we could have the village green open for parking on the 12th of July.
Send me an email.
Certainly, thank you. And if, with your permission, Chair, would it be possible for me to share with fellow councillors the Eventbrite link, which is for a free ticket? And all you have to do is, if you feel that the person you watched is worthy of it, that you make a donation at the end to the church fund.
Okay.
Is that all right?
I think that's been noted.
Thank you.
What time are you doing this, Mike?
I'm doing 2 shows, one at 2 p.m, which you don't need to get a ticket for because it's more for people who want to go to bed early, and one at 7:30, 12 p.m, which is the one which will have the live music. There's a man called Malcolm Edmondson who used to be Laurie Holloway's musical director, and also there is a very, very good singer called Becky Biggins who will be singing music that kind of represents what my father liked. So there you go.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other comments from Bray? Councillor Egan.
I know this is effectively a parliamentary, it will be early in July. Do with the, what do you call it, roundabout?
Oh, well, I was going to come on to.
Oh, okay. Well, High Port's in roundabout is actually in Bray, I think.
It is.
Yes, but my house lives in Brainwood. Anyway,
go about doing.
okay, councillor Egan.
Well, I guess we had that, we had this meeting, which obviously caused a lot of faction as a general meeting, but we've never actually heard of it really happened that way. The meeting was so that we would know more about what was going on, so that if we could have an official report on the meeting, that's something that would be fine, but it's hard to consider whether it's a success or not without knowing any of the background.
Yeah, well, it is a bit frustrating at times when we don't always get the reports. That's the problem. That's.
You'll need to say something there.
Well,
I was at the meeting. As to Jeff Hill, who's the councillor in charge of traffic and highways, and Tim Dollerbeck, a officer in charge of same stuff. We asked, if you remember, for the information, the engineering information and any drawings. Mr. Dollerbeck was quite convinced we had them. We told him emphatically that we hadn't. He agreed that he would go away and see where the missing link was in the chain. And all I can say is he hasn't found it. Because we still have not had the information.
Okay. Councillor Parkinson.
Leo, do you want to?
Councillor Walters.
yeah.
Yeah, you pick up, you pick up.
I attended the meeting and
It's your meeting. Yeah.
right. Weekend. And they had what do you call it, 10 years, they wouldn't listen, they bulldozed them through. We had experts who said that the present roundabout, not the one going in now, but the one that was there, it's perfectly all right. There was no need whatsoever to spend 1.3 million on a new roundabout. Just wasn't necessary. Experts saying the one at the moment, the old one, was perfectly capable of taking the amount of traffic. It's as safe as anything, it doesn't safe. And the big disadvantage, which of course they kept hidden from us for a long time, there was no right turn, which is a great filter into the Hollywood Road off the A308. So what's going to happen, and that it's just a thing that we did everything, didn't we? We did everything to persuade them that it was wrong, but they just would not listen. They prevaricated, they didn't reply to emails, and something else had happened on planning. Now, do you do want to talk to me, talk this thing or not?
Yes, I'm listening to you, Councillor Walters.
Hand waving away all the time.
No, it's okay. Councillor Corso, I've noted your
I have to keep it up all the time. No,
It's all right, Councillor Walters.
there was no need for it, I said, and they played the dirt. Actually, I know it's recorded, but it's true. They said we, I can't remember all the things that I forget all the things, because there's so many things, but just trust, never have gone in.
Anyway,
There's a lot, many cycle lanes that put in there, just them will make it sound good. We don't need the cycle lanes, they weren't going to go anywhere. So it was a complete farce and it was so annoying, it really was. But there we are, I'm on the wrong line, I still couldn't get it. But there was an opportunity to do it, they didn't want to know.
okay.
And they employ, by the way, without competition. That was the legal point. They had no competitive tender for £1.34 million. That was the real tragedy in a way, and something quite wrong.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Corset.
So I'd like to make several points. So first of all, I did sit through the inquiry for Hollywood Studio with residents of Hollywood every single day, and I admire the power and I admire the passion. And I will never disregard what they say, and I do understand the questions and concerns coming from, especially from residents of Hollywood. So I am not saying residents did anything wrong. So there was a meeting, and we all agreed in this room to write to the Royal Borough and request a meeting. And I did say I will never stop anyone from asking any questions. But then the meeting was arranged without proper delegation and input from any of us.
Which one, roundabout or the?
The roundabout meeting, we did not have a chance to
Television studios.
ask any questions. We did not have that chance. I can share, because after that meeting, there was I don't know who put this through. There was a freedom of information request available online on the Royal Borough website, answering every single question we had. And I have to stress, Bray Parish Council, the council did not employ any specialists. So whatever Council Walters is saying, there was some specialists saying it's wrong. Can I please?
No.
Not interrupt.
Yes. Just have one meeting.
So no one was employed by us. So when Council Walters is saying we had concerns and there was someone, an engineer saying it was not our engineer. I have never seen a report from any engineer clarifying what is wrong with the site. I have to stress, I did hear the residents saying what is wrong in their view, but this was not an official stance of Bray Parish Council.
Anyway, can I just bring this matter to
I-
conclusion? If I may?
That it was wrong, and it was in Bray Parish Council in this case was used to politicize something that residents started for a good reason with legitimate concerns. I would like to still see what was achieved at that meeting, because there was a meeting and no one knows what the result is.
Okay, Councillor Elder.
And while we're on about the roundabout, I think more worrying point, we will see when it's constructed whether it works or not. The proof of the pudding will indeed be eaten, and we will be £1.3 million worse off. Whether that's worth it or not, we will take a view. I am a bit concerned that the Royal Borough in 2020 declared climate emergency. There is no weekend working on that roundabout.
No, there isn't.
So therefore, we are subjecting the residents to pollution, wasting time and wasting petrol, and we declared a climate emergency. Big mistake.
I'm going to keep
And
this.
that is the real thing. And we're doing it on the surface here. We're trying to stop things. There was no help. And all about, I never said the engineer was a member of the parish council or the construction. He was an independent. And there were two of them, must know.
Okay,
Two, you don't know anything about it.
Councillor Waters, look, I think
Stick to the
Councillor Waters, I think everybody has had a fair opportunity.
Yeah.
Wants to have a word, but can I just bring this to a conclusion? Because we are where we are with this,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter what we say it will do at the moment until we actually see it enforced, and then we can make representations. Councillor,
Just want to say, I find it. Look through minutes of meetings, clearly explain, there was opportunity for borough councillors to raise in October 23 issues regarding the roundabout. There's also been on BWM's website diagrams of the roundabout and any questions. And as Joanna said, there's been freedom of information, several, in fact, answering questions that residents have raised. Making out that none of this has been answered. It has been answered. I just don't think perhaps people have used or been aware. Whenever I've been aware, I've shared it with everyone. I think perhaps as a parish council, we should perhaps do a little bit of a drains up ourselves, because I think some people are saying they haven't seen it, and there's quite a few of us that have. So I think perhaps for our own, we should have a look and see what we see, what we know, rather than go around saying we don't know, because there is information out there. And that's all I want to say.
Okay. I'm going to move to
One thing,
Councillor Waters.
no, it's an important thing. I just want to know, did either of you two ladies do anything to try and stop the disaster?
Look, I
We
think,
did.
anyway, can I move it on?
Yes, please.
Right, the next item on the agenda is 047235, that's Byfield, Oakley Green and Dedworth. Councillor Kaloo, would you like to make something?
Yes, unfortunately, I've got two rather unsatisfactory things going on. The first of all, we've had Pat Morris from Cardinal Clinic who border on the AL21 development. Pat has been emailing the enforcement office almost on a weekly basis. He's been emailing John fairly regularly, keeping him copied. She was at her wit's end last week with work going on. There's supposed to be a 2-metre high fence created separating her hospital from the development site. All there is a rather ugly metal sort of open sort of thing made out of sort of scaffolding poles, which doesn't really do anything. So, as you know, she went through the whole Aldi development, which shook the listed building, which is also part of what is on that site. She's at her wit's end, and I've been copied in on a lot of this, but really we need to try and get enforcement to get Vistry or whoever it is who now running that to honour the obligations that were in the honour the planning conditions that were in there, because the 2-metre high fence was a planning condition.
Then it should be reported through the planning committee. Councillor Dean?
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, the challenge is that part of the council is that we actually got different borough councillors. It's actually under winter. And really, this is where the borough councillors need to be actually going in and knocking on those planning enforcement stores and actually supporting the residents. Because actually, at the end of the day, that's why the residents voted them, was to help with these things. We should, it's not Leo or Suzanne, is it
Cost.
Yeah.
So he's been copied on this as well. But I don't have a link. I have a link into this council.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we do have a track record of contacting enforcement and trying to get things to happen.
Oh, totally, but we also do need the borough councillors. We do really need them to support the residents on this. Because they've got that inside tract.
Well, I think we need to continue with,
Sorry.
no, it's okay. Councillor Blue, if you can contact the local board councillors.
Well, Winston Costa and I forget the other, but they are in the loop, and Pat has been emailing the enforcement officers as well as I forget who the head of planning is, but she's been doing all sorts of things and not getting any response at all.
Okay, anyway, I'd like to move this forward a bit, but because I've got hands coming up, but it's still your.
Yeah, that's another thing to also, which is equally awkward.
Right, what's the other thing?
Well, can I just ask that we continue our efforts on her behalf, as we have been doing, to try and get some action out of the Royal Borough to get them either to enforce their planning conditions, or at least something along that head, or even, some sort of response.
Okay.
Right, I'll move on then. Yeah, the other one we've got happening is Kimber's Farm.
Right.
Now, many of you may know that Kimber's Farm has been on our enforcement list ever since we had an enforcement list. Initially, it's owned by travelling show people, and after a big battle, they got permission in the Greenbelt, it's only just 250 yards down here. They got permission to be able to service their own travelling show equipment in the winter time, on the basis that then during the summertime, they'd be off doing the travelling show business. Okay, and that obviously is how it started. However, over time, they started taking other people's equipment, and the servicing of equipment, this is big roundabouts and big equipment, started to continue over the whole 12-month period. So there was no quiet periods, and the noise and which were affecting the local residents. Then they started servicing cars and running a whole car business.
Can I suggest that those matters are all planning enforcement matters, and really they ought to go through the office and we'll mark them down on the enforcement register and chase up the enforcement register with the planning enforcement officers themselves, and then hopefully, because we will notify them of this. Councillor Elton.
Now, with regard to the Garden Clinic is in this parish, yes.
Yes.
Therefore, because there is an overlap of councillors, perhaps this council should write to the two councillors involved and seek their action.
Yes.
So I can actually tell you I've done that already, personally.
Well, good, so, but no, from the council, not just from one council or the planning committee. Let's go for it from this council.
On councillors.
Councillor Waters.
Yes. Pat, then Morris. I went through all that saga and she's been really badly treated, she really has. And so we'll do it the former chairman suggested we'll help with
So do members want an official letter coming from the parish?
Yeah.
To the two ward councillors of Windsor expressing our concern about.
Yeah, by all means.
Sorry, John.
No, so it's asking the questions. Is that you that writes that letter, or is it the clerk that writes the letter?
I suppose it will be myself writing the letter, and then I could pop it to the clerk and the clerk, and.
Yeah.
I think that would.
Yeah.
So because of, knowing the situation. And
If we vote on it.
yes, I think we ought to vote on it. So,
But I'm happy to propose that, and
okay, and all those in favour, please indicate. Right. We'll do a letter.
so I think we should copy the letter to the head of planning and, various other people as well.
Adrian Wade.
Yeah, Adrian Wade.
I'm not sure whether we've got much of a response from Adrian White, knowing this past. This one's
Wait by name and wait by nature.
yeah. Okay, we'll take those matters up, councillor.
Okay.
Right, now moving on to 04820225 for Hollywood. Councillor Lynn.
Okay, a few things going on here, but the one is the inquiry. Obviously, as chair of planning, councillors will know, I work very closely with our planning consultant, Ryan Snow from Cornwall, on this. Also as well as Rule 6 party, we've worked with the action group, Holyport and Fifield Community Action Group on it. We also work with RBWM on it, work very closely with them. And, you know, obviously when we got the great news on, and I was on holiday at the time, made sure I wrote and said thank you to all those people, and especially our excellent panel consultant from Belcal, and also RBWM and all the other residents, which I can't obviously thank. But yes, at the end of the day, it was a team effort because, you know, there was hundreds of letters of objection from residents. It wasn't just one person doing anything or two people. Hundreds of residents wrote in, and I think that obviously really appealed to the inspector when he actually the inquiry, and the fact that every day the area was full. Now I have to apologise, Joanna stood in for me. Unfortunately, I had a bit of a sea scare and I had a major operation literally days before, so I couldn't attend to the last day. So Joanna very kindly stepped in for me and gave me daily reports. But yeah, it was really noted, and you can see from the inspector's reports that came from Secretary of State that actually it was noted, all the work we did as a community. So it was power to the community. So, and we were part of that. Okay, small part, but we were part of it.
Very good result.
Yeah, very good. The other thing was Speedwatch, Community Speedwatch. We've set up a new Speedwatch in for Holyport Green, which covers Ascot Road, part of Holyport Road, and also part of the Green and part of Manuel Green. So we now have in that area, we will have 4 Speedwatch. We'll have one for Manuel Green, one for Holyport Road. Holyport College are going to raise their own group, which I think is great because they can obviously cover their area and our area. And that is just a small area. We're going to have 4 community groups doing Speedwatch, which I think is really, you know, we keep getting told data. We're going to be given the police data. So on that, noted that the police did a Speedwatch themselves in Bray. Would like the police to support the residents now and doing the same for Holyport, because there is big concern in the whole area. When we did 1 hour, Friday lunchtime, we counted 550 cars and lorries in one direction coming from Maidenhead for 1 hour. And that wasn't including any that were turning down by Holyport Lodge. That was literally by coming along the road. There is a heavy amount of traffic along there. So on that, I have written to Councillor Cross, and I'm sorry that she's not able to be here tonight, and asked if we could use the tripod speed camera that's in the office, because we could really use it now and make us even more effective on, especially catching lorries. So I have requested that last week. So other things, I think that's it actually.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Councillor Parkinson was next, and then Councillor Waters.
You're one more Holyport.
Yes. So Councillor Parkinson.
Yes.
Then Councillor Waters.
Just one thing that has come out of my sort of brief sojourn for council. I'd like to sort of propose we discuss the possibility of doing surgeons around the parish with people, councillors, basically inviting the public to come and meet them to discuss their concerns. I think from my perspective, the difficulty is that because I live in Bray, I represent Holyport. The only way to really engage with the community, it seems, is via social media, which I think is a very bad way, generally speaking. And I think that we need to be much more public facing and actually be out there And I would just like to think, and I'm very happy to put my name in the hat, that if we could think about as a parish council to actually just have surgery, maybe 2-3 councillors are prepared to give up their time, invite public to come and see him, just to have a general conversation, a two-way conversation between what we want to try to achieve, but what they would like us to achieve, because I think that dialogue might lead to an interesting way of how we're perceived and how we might better interrelate with them. So that's kind of what I'm proposing to discuss. I don't know whether it has to be put down as a formal motion.
Right, I've got queries that have gone up, councillor Walters was next, so councillor Walters.
So. Yes, a minute. On the studios. It was a wonderful, magnificent picture. Everybody joined together. One or two people signed in our numbers, but that's the way the voice is. We had a wonderful Richard Ground, it was the council, the borough, KC. And I congratulate the planning team and the borough, because they did put up a show. That's about £250,000. Whereas you could say, why do we have to go through all that? You know, I knew that we were going to lose anything. So that was a wonderful picture for us, and as Councillor Keane said, they raised a lot of money, but they did a good job. The other thing I'll report is the lodge. I think some of us, I don't know how many of us, but some of us went to a presentation they did with the and they come up with a scheme which looks pretty good, it really does. They've asked for responses from the public, very well done actually. Booper are the ones to have, because they've got a lot of money. I have no conflict of interest with them, but they do have a lot of money, and those things often fail. It's when they're bought by equity firms who fail. And then the local authority has to give them responsibility to take the road. So you have to look on board, which we have firmly on board. They want to do it, they want to do care, constitute, and all that stuff. They want to do proper home. But I think that I remember I should say it, I wouldn't be determined, it's a very good scheme and so on. But a lot of people have said to me, residents, that they would like to see, a sort of, not a replica of what's there now, but they like to see that whiteness about it.
Well, anyway, I mean, that's a planning issue, and I think it will be discussed.
You hear what I'm saying about Hollywood, what I'm saying. Okay, yeah. The thing was, they wanted to see a replication where the whiteness, which, if you had all the vernacular bricks and all that around, they were a little bit dull. But it's an excellent scheme, as far as I can see. Yeah, going for it. I'll give it to you supporting. I think we probably have. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Pearce was next.
Chairman, opportunities for interaction with the parish council do exist. I'm not against them being expanded or varied, but people can come to our meeting. They can ask questions at our meeting. They can update themselves with the programme as it stands. But very few people take advantage of this, which is a pity.
Okay, I'm bringing councillor Pearce out, but then councillor Corvette.
You'll be very open and honest and transparent, and I sort of knew this might be brought out today. My experience of being a councillor is completely different. Some people in the village know exactly where I live, and they don't shy away from knocking on my door, which I don't discourage because they might not open the door. But they know every Friday morning they can find me having coffee in the village where I live, like every Friday evening in the cricket club. So it sort of already happened that they would say, "Can we talk?" So knowing this, I would like to say our communication policy actually says that it is allowed to have surgeries. And because the situation is so sometimes interesting, that some residents, Polyfords, think they live in Bray, and some residents, especially now, so that's quite often the other way around. Some residents of Bray, well, if they think they live in Polyford, I would be happy to join that surgery because I'm already doing this. And I found that by being in the community where people are, it's easier to actually speak to those people and cases open themselves.
Hang on, councillor Parker, so you're next.
No, I simply just believe that nowadays we are very easily sidelined by the fact that effectively, if anyone wants to organise a protest group or anyone wants to organise something against it, they'll just do it. And the difficulty with that is, I believe, is that we do have a role. We can be a coordinating force. We do have a lot of soft power. But if we could get it out there, we could work with residents, understand their concerns, we could actually get their disputes and their worries better dealt with, better formulated. And I also do believe as well that there is a general disconnect and a general distrust with people who get involved in, even with a small p, politics. And it's viewed in a very low way. We're kind of below journalists now, really, people get involved in politics, and I should know. So I do think that we should try and also say that what we are trying to do, what is our kind of aims, and it's not, and what is the limits of our power, and what is our, how we can, and I think if we can encourage dialogue outside of official meetings, I think it might encourage a different way of interaction and a different perspective about what the council could do.
Councillor Neil.
We did used to do it, but then it sort of fizzled out because not many people turned up. But I think
COVID helped either.
I think what would be good is like how Council Cross also is in the pubs without being horrible. It's a social place for people to go and they feel less intimidated than coming to an office. And this is when the office was in Holyport. We are, as Holyport Ward councillors, very aware that we have some challenges to try and engage residents. And I think for us, we need to do both. I think we need to be using social media as appropriate. And I do try to do that as appropriate. And also we do need to be meeting people. If they want to speak to you, then have the opportunity to be able to do that. And I'd be happy to have in the pubs in Holyport, perhaps
Maybe it's something that as councillors we can have a get together and we can discuss when meet and when. Councillor Walters.
Chairman, we're nearly at the end, aren't we?
Well, we are, but
What Mr. Parkinson said triggered a thought in my brain. I steer clear of social media together. I don't want anything to do with it. And unfortunately, as about that studio thing, without my knowledge, somebody put on the thing that I've been fighting it for years, and it was all down to me. Chairman, if you want to hear things going on.
You can second this. Councillor Walters, I've heard this a few times though, haven't I?
Not for me, you haven't. What happened?
Go on then, Councillor Walters. Go on. Councillor Walters, I was next.
I know, I'm just trying to think straight. Without my knowledge, telling you why I steer clear of social media. I think it's an unreliable thing, uneducated, and all the rest of it, like. And I've suffered with that. Believe it, by people I know. And that was withdrawn. Luckily, they apologised in a very decent way. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't say you must be in some key session, you must go on social media. I think it's just a very horrible thing to go on. I know everybody knows it, but all these things, what people want to spread out, spread rumours and lies, and God knows what else they can do what they like, isn't it? Thank you.
No, I'm not going to call on any other speaker, this matter to a conclusion. Right, thank you very much for all your reports. So 049225 is the date of the next meeting. So, the next meeting that we have scheduled for the main council is Monday, the 28th of July at 7 p.m. Now, just for the purposes of the members here, unfortunately, Tracy is away on holiday on that occasion, because it's important that she has a holiday. John Daly will be representing the class on that evening, okay? So just to bear that in mind. Right, I'll make it 8:26. I don't, and I would like to formally close the meeting if I may.
Sorry, no, query this date, you did cancel that one, didn't you? Put it down.
Yes, yes, it's cancelled.
Yeah. The next one's 20, that's the council. It isn't, yeah. That's what it's- Yeah. Sorry, well, yes, this was always his day. I don't know. I just-